God, may my meditation, like all of our meditations, be pleasing in your sight and restorative in ours. For you are our rock, our shepherd, and our redeemer. Amen. At Bible study this week, someone asked if I knew why goats always got the bad reputation in biblical stories. What is so different about sheep and goats? The question gave me pause because goats are goats? What more explanation do you need? But it was actually a very good question. I did know, thanks to some research, that goats and sheep raised in the first century happened to look a lot more similar than they do now. So I suppose that the reason had to do with behavior. As one farmer put it, you have to protect sheep from your things. Goats, on the other hand, well, you have to protect your things from goats. Now, I suppose the biggest difference is that sheep really do flock. Goats, on the other hand, they go their own way. They are independent and incredibly curious, a little bit ornery, a lot stubborn, and they will eat anything. But you probably know all this, because I have learned more about goats in my 11 years in Vermont than I had ever thought I would. I remember my very first few months here, really like 3 months in, I was stopped in a traffic circle in the capital of the state, mind you, to let 2 parishioners of mine cross the street because they were out walking their goats. Having just moved up here from Boston, I really wondered in that moment what I had gotten myself into. But all of this put in mind something that happened a few years ago in Middlesex and on Front Porch Forum. Now, those of you that don't know, Front Porch Forum is a community emailing service where you can post and receive short email blasts from others in your community on a wide range of topics. It comes out as a bulletin once a day. Now, I went looking for this exchange, and sure enough, I found that in September, a while back, this was posted. Subject, goat on the loose, posted to Middlesex. We have been trying to track down the owner of the goat we saw on East Hill Road on Monday morning while biking, but to no avail. The goat was black with white markings and dragging its broken tether. Before we could get to it, it ran across the road and into the woods. Call us for more information. 5 days later, another post. Subject, wandering goat is still on the loose. Yours? At 10:30 this morning, I saw the black and white goat with horns and blue lead rope. He was halfway down Molly Supple Road, standing in the middle of the road. Stopped and tried to lure him to me, but he ran down the road when another car approached. 3 other cars stopped, coming up from the bottom of Molly Supple. They tried their hardest to get him to come to them. He is quite spooked. Thank you to the people who stopped and had patience to try to capture him. I then got a call from the Stephensons 20 minutes later on East Hill saying that he was in their field. I ran over with a bucket of feed and they said they think he was headed to the Brook Road. Now, if the goat belongs to you, please post on Front Porch Forum, so if someone does capture him, we know where to bring him. I do recommend to have a bucket of something to get him. Good luck. The very next day, there was this post subject, goat on the loose, yours? The goat Tammy saw came up our driveway about 12:45 yesterday afternoon, smiley face. She is definitely freaked and is definitely a she because she has udders. She and I spent about 25 minutes wandering my yard and bleating at each other. We got 8 feet away from each other and I almost dove for her rope, but it was raining and very slippery with all the leaves. And when she discovered the path behind our house, she took off trotting. And then the next day, from the animal control officer, more goat on the loose. Hi folks, the next time someone spots her, please call my cell, and I will do my very best to get right over there with a bucket of grain to see if I can catch her and get her to safety. There are a lot of active predators this time of year. Let's see if we can all work together to save this girl. This was a big deal. A few days later, call for goat capture help. I have a way to catch the elusive feral goat in Middlesex. If this goat happens to be spotted again, either early AM before 8 on weekends or after 5:30, please call, insert number, leave message, and we will come try to capture her. Have all the tricks and tools necessary. We are experienced and trained in this kind of animal recovery. By this point, we are in November, and there's another post titled, "Goat Still on the Loose." Now, we've seen this poor goat is still out and about and just saw it recently posted on the backside of our Middlesex notch in Waterbury. Wow, this is so sad. Isn't there any way we can help this poor animal find its way back to the owner? Or at least someone who can capture and give it a good home? It's amazing that this animal is still surviving. It's traveled quite a distance. And now, with hunting season upon us, the next post is in the middle of November, very close to Thanksgiving. Subject, goat returns to Middlesex, exclamation point. Saturday afternoon, the black and white female horned goat with a blue lead rope attached to it was on our front lawn. Emil was very close to it, but no luck. The last we had heard, it had been seen in Waterbury. We last saw it headed through the woods in the direction of Molly Supple Hill Road. A bucket of grain or corn may do the trick. Good luck. If anyone sees it, I really would love to help catch it. Evidently, if you want to get a bunch of Vermonters riled up, all you have to do is set a goat loose. This was the talk of the town. All you have to do is set a goat loose or evidently insinuate God would somehow punish that goat for being a goat. People were worked up about this in Bible study. After all, that goat was just being itself. They are meant to be independent and curious. They forage for food, they don't graze, so they have to be curious. The goat was just tired of being tied up and wanted to do its own thing. We've all done that before, haven't we? Just gotten fed up with being confined. A metaphorical lead rope around us as we circle and circle and circle the confines of our quarantines. Even before then, of course, we found ourselves chafing against expectations, the ones that are set before us, and wanting to do the very thing we are told not to do. Now, knowing we all needed a bit of levity right now, what I asked you for this week was your funny Thanksgiving stories. Now, surprise, surprise, rather than dropping the turkey type of stories or burning it, most of them came back with this theme, our own slightly naughty streak. Take, for example, Baki, who really wanted to be in two places.
Thanksgiving 2015, we were invited to a Catholic family, very disciplined Catholic family, and there was a no cell phone policy at the table. But it was also the Black Friday sale started, and I wanted a curved TV that I've been waiting for, and I had only less than 2 minutes to put my credit card information. So when they were praying at the table, I put my head down, I had my cell phone underneath the table, and by the time the prayers finished, I finished my purchase, and they said amen, and I said amen louder than anyone else. That's my funniest story for Thanksgiving.
Or Susan, who really wanted that forbidden fruit.
Growing up, our families took turns hosting Thanksgiving and Christmas. One year, we Vermonters and our Massachusetts family traveled to the Ohio family. While our parents gathered in the family room post-Thanksgiving dinner, all the cousins hustled to the attic bedroom. Soda, or pop, depending on where you lived, was not on our usual list of allowed foods, but I had seen some under the kitchen sink, easily approached without parental knowledge. Glasses of ice ready, we poured and eagerly drank. Ugh! It turned out to be club soda. Curses! Foiled again.
Now, some of your stories were sweet, like this one from Lucy.
It's my first Thanksgiving with Michael's extended family, and we're in his parents' kitchen, and the table extensions are in, and there's probably 15 people there, and the tablecloth is on, and there's lots of food, delicious Arabic food, kibbe, stuffed grape leaves, and then turkey, everything. And we're sitting around, and Michael's mother, Josephine, such a sweet woman, she takes a sip of water, goes down the wrong pipe, and she starts coughing. Well, immediately, Michael's Aunt Weeza says, "Arms up!" And everybody puts their arms up. So I'm like, okay, arms up. And poor Josephine, she's coughing, and finally she's laughing, and finally she stops, and everyone is saying, "Oh, nushkud Allah, nushkud Allah. God is good."
Or this photo from Mike Nauer. But I think my favorite was this one from Rob, talking about the Thanksgiving where his daughter had just had enough.
My most memorable Thanksgiving involved a meal at which my 6-year-old daughter Jessica was completely out of control. It had already been a rough day before we sat down to the table, but she then proceeded to pick up her salad bowl and fling it across the table, where it hit a full glass of red wine that had splattered over the brand new white silk blouse of my sister. My mother at that point turned to me and said, "Robbie, I think it is time for you to go home."
While most of our stories of that independent naughty streak are harmless, there are other times, of course, when it isn't. Friends, there are now 1,800 deaths in the United States alone each day from COVID-19, when a simple mask and distancing is extremely effective. Each and every one of our Thanksgivings would look different if we were willing to clothe for our neighbor. 1 in 4 Americans is likely to be food insecure at the end of this pandemic because we are unwilling to stay home for the good of the flock. Personally, I think God should be frustrated with us. And if this passage makes you uncomfortable, I would encourage you, as I always do, to sit with that discomfort. That goat, her adventures, well, she did in fact cause a lot of trouble for quite a lot of folks. But I am happy to say that on Thanksgiving week, there was a post from the animal control officer. She reported, "The goat is safe." The goat, who has been on the loose since September, is finally captured and safe. She went on a whirlwind tour through Middlesex, up over the Notch into Waterbury, and returned to Middlesex this week. After many sightings, postings, emails, and phone calls, I got a call this morning letting me know that she was peeking in windows at a house on Molly Supple. Thanks to Christina's amazing goat whisperer skills, we were able to catch the hungry, tired, and cold little lady without injury, as she is now resting comfortably at Christina and Zach's home. They are willing to keep her and do their very best to tame this feral beast. If anyone would like to contribute to her care, please let me know. I will be delivering some grain and hay very soon. Thank you to everyone in the community who reported sightings and wished the best for this goat. Now, my wife, Sarah, she loves that goat. She still talks about it occasionally. She brings it up in conversation. She loves it because it bucked expectations. It returned to its essential wandering roots. It didn't like where it was, and it fixed it. The way she talks about that goat makes me think of Springsteen's Born to Run. She calls the nearly 3-month adventure the goat's Rumspringa. She loves that goat. So here's what I know. God is not less merciful than the folks on Front Porch Forum. God probably loves that goat too. But that goat probably was in hell, scared to death Not knowing where to go, that 2 months was an eternity of punishment for that goat. And we know that that's the case because it ended up literally peering in windows of houses saying, can I come in? So spend time with the why the reality of this passage bothers you. But remember also that goat or sheep, the best thing that we can do is to take the food that is offered, to make sure our independence doesn't hinder someone else's, and to seek the shelter of the loving arms of your shepherd. And then to extend that shelter to others in whatever way you can in this time. Because that goat running around, as much as you might want to judge it or be angry at it, it just might be Jesus.